It is Friday and it's time for some grill and Torah here in beautiful Efrat, Judea, Israel. We are cooking up a storm for Shabbat and getting ready for a awesome, quiet, relaxing, family-oriented and spiritual weekend here in Israel. And we have some a really exciting Parsha going on this week. For those of you who did not see my last Facebook status, my brother put an unbelievable status up about the connection between this week's Torah portion Parsha and current events. He actually hinted a little bit. He didn't spell it out exactly, but I think anybody who reads it will actually be mind blown by the amount of deja vu, if you want to call it, that's found in that post. So the truth of the matter is, last night when I was in Jerusalem, I gave a small class where I was in yeshiva, and I spoke exactly about that issue. So I went a little bit of a different way, but I do want to talk about that a little bit today on Gorilla and Torah. Let me just, I want to say welcome to Zezi, my cousin who's here in Israel. It's about time you come home. You got to make it, a permanent visit, and not just a hop, skip, and jump and back to some other country. America, great country. Well, now it's great. And we're going to talk a little bit, not much about, the Trump inauguration tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. I'm going to tell you why. Because I have many friends who are very upset with me, even family members who are not immediate family, but family members who are very upset with me in my how I relate to Trump and why I'm so for him and pro him, and they were very, very upset with me. So I want to just go through that in a second also as well. Let's see who's here. Excellent, Sean Yitz is here. Who's in the house? Who else is here? All right, so let's get some more people on, and we're going to talk about Parshat Shemot. We are in the first book, the first Parsha in the book of Exodus. We are talking about the beginning of the nation of Israel's Exodus, and it is really Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, is now becoming a leader, and the whole trip is really not smooth. There are some people saying, Jews today, who say, how could Israel be the beginning of the redemption? Look how many problems we have. Look how many Jews are being killed. Not everyone's religious, blah, 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 all the excuses in the world. And I don't know what book they're reading, but they certainly are not reading the Torah, because never in the history of Israel have we had a very, very smooth transition to Geula. Mitzrayim was a horrible transition. And we're going to start from the beginning. I'm going to show it to you. Even Moshe Rabbeinu had a hard time in the beginning taking leadership. And of course, Am Yisrael, the nation of Israel's reaction to Moshe was really, really horrible. And we're going to discuss it in 1 second as well. Let's just get some more people on here. I'm saucing up my steaks here. I'll turn it around and show it to you in a second. They look absolutely delicious. All right, so give me 1 second. Last one. All right, here, let me check this. I'll show it to you right now. All right, there's the grill for Shabbat. We got some chicken on there, some steaks, some dogs for the kids. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. So Moshe Rabbeinu is pretty much brought up and born into an Egyptian household. And not just an Egyptian household, he was born and brought up in Paro's house, the kingship, the castle of Egypt. And he's brought up as an Egyptian prince. He was literally second in command, unlike Joseph, who was second in command by earning it from the outside. Moshe is actually coming from the inside. He was brought up in Paro's house by Paro's daughter, under Paro's eyes, and it's really unbelievable to think about that. Now, you know what it takes for a person who's brought up in a foreign home, different religion, different culture, different everything else, and still somehow holds on to his identity. So Moshe is brought up in Egypt, and really total Egyptian clothing, language, everything. And what is the first thing we hear that Moshe does? He walks the street and he sees the suffering of his brothers. So the first question that has to come to mind is, how does he even know they're his brothers? Number one. And number two, why does he feel that at all? He's American. He's Egyptian. Right? He's living there. He's not living with his brothers. He's living under the Egyptian rule. He's the second in command. So how does he have that kind of identity, that kind of emotion and sensitivity to his brothers when he actually has absolutely no connection to them whatsoever? So of course we know that the Egyptian was whipping one of the Israelite slaves there, and we know that Moshe Rabbeinu saw this. Moses saw it, and he could not handle it, the pain of his brothers, and he's killed the Egyptian. But I want to go a little bit further than that, because that's not the really big deal. What happens? Moshe goes out, runs away from Paro out of fear that Paro will catch him and kill him for killing an Egyptian who was beating to death a Jew. And he runs out to the desert, and he meets, obviously, his wife and his father-in-law. Yitro is not a Jew, of course. And he then is taking a walk with his sheep in the fields, and he sees this burning bush, right? He's in the burning bush, and the bush starts talking to him and says, you know, you're going to take the people out of the land of Egypt. And he says, why me? I can't even talk. I have trouble talking. And God says, no, this is your job, you're doing it. And again, he shies away and says, no, I don't want to do this. You know, I can't talk. Why would? And he says something which is mind-blowing. He says to God, after God's talking to him, he says, why would Paro believe me? Or no, excuse me, he says, who am I to speak to Paro? Right? The man who's now speaking to God says to God, who am I to speak to Paro? Really strange. What do you mean, you're speaking to God? Of course you speak to Paro. Well, without going a little bit too far, I think Moshe Rabbeinu had a little bit of a transition issue here. In other words, he's brought up in Egypt. He's an Egyptian Jew, if you may. Okay, not a Jewish Egyptian. He's an Egyptian Jew, Egyptian first. He grew up there. His culture is Egyptian. And now he's being challenged with that outlook on life. Now all of a sudden he realizes, wait a second, my DNA is different. Yes, I'm in the offices of the Egyptian palace and of the Egyptian dynasty. However, my DNA is not Egyptian. I'm something different. And the funny thing is, he doesn't even know yet, because he has no connection to the Jewish people, to the people of Israel. So God, says to him, you're going to do this, and we're going to set the Israelites free. And then Moshe says to God, well, how will the Israelites believe me? Right? So for that, God actually punishes Moshe and says, you spoke evil about my nation. He actually gave him tzarat, which is leprosy. And of course, cured him right away. It was just a sign. But the point is that was a mistake by Moshe Rabbeinu. It was a clear mistake, according to everyone, that Moshe Rabbeinu did, to speak badly about the nation of Israel, even though, listen to this one, even though it's true. They didn't believe him. Right? Okay, so what happens? Now you have to remember, the nation of Israel is in bondage, is in slavery now for over 210 years. 210 years they're in slavery. They're being killed. The Paro gave a decree, passed a resolution, as my brother said it so well. Passed the king of Egypt passed a resolution against the Jews, and basically decreed all Jewish males to be thrown into the Nile and killed. And of course, he goes to the Jewish midwives, who also have a home. Oh, that's good. Wow. All right. Paro goes to the Jewish midwives and says, okay, this is your responsibility. You have to kill the children. Now, to you and me, we would say, no way. We're not killing anybody. Certainly not our own people. But you can't think like that, because you have to think that these women are the vice presidents. These women are the ministers of defense and whatnot. They're high-level offices in Egypt. They have their positions. So why won't they cross their own people? They don't do it. And then Paro comes back to them and says to them, why didn't you listen to me? What does that mean, why didn't you listen to me? Listen to God. Why should I listen to you? And it goes on. Moshe comes to Paro and says to Paro, listen, let my people go. And Paro says to him, in whose name? He says, in God's name. And Paro says, I don't know that God. And so, Moshe does a little trick there in Paro's face, try to get him to believe. And obviously Paro does not. And then what does Paro do? He doubles the work for the nation of Israel. And why does he do that? And this is such an important thing for life, people. Why does he double the work for the nation of Israel? Listen, this is so important. This is unbelievable. He doubled it. The Torah says that apparently they're not working hard enough because they have time to think about stupidity. What is stupidity in his eyes? God. Primitive stupidity. The imaginary guy in the sky. I believe in the Big Bang, Paro says. You have too much time on your hands. Spirituality? Don't bother me with this. So he gave them more work, thinking if they get busy with work, they'll actually forget about what's important. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Getting so busy in what we're doing in life and work, whether it's money or whether it's status or whatnot, and forgetting about the important things in life. Family and even health. People work themselves to death, right? So sometimes we lose focus, but that's not really what we want to talk about here. What happens after Paro doubles the work? The leaders, Jewish rabbis, okay, Jewish rabbis go over to Moshe Rabbeinu and say to Moshe Rabbeinu, what did you do? You're going to make Paro hate us. The language of the Torah is you made us stink in front of Paro. And they're now going to take their swords and kill us. In other words, Jewish leaders, Jewish rabbis in Mitzrayim in Egypt were condemning Moshe and Aaron, who stood up for Jewish rights, who demanded Jewish freedom, who demanded the legalities of Jews living in Judea and Samaria, who said, no, Paro, you don't have the truth. We believe in God, and you're the king of Egypt, and I respect you as a king, but the truth is not by you. And if you need proof, we'll give you proof. And of course, the 10 plagues that Paro got was the proof to God. But here, realize it wasn't the Egyptians, it was the Jews. It were Jewish rabbis who said to Moses, what are you doing? You're causing Paro to hate us, right? Instead of those rabbis standing up with the person who's fighting for their rights, they blame Moshe Rabbeinu for Paro's hatred, right? Paro has already killed Jewish babies. He's already murdered Jewish boys, right? He's causing slavery to the Jewish people. He's passing resolutions. He's doing everything to the Jewish people. And instead of the Jewish rabbis cheering and standing up for Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, who's saying to them, I will take you out of here, they instead blame him. They blame Moshe Rabbeinu and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? Paro's got weapons, he's going to kill us, and it's all your fault, Moses. Right? They turn the person who's standing up for their rights into the enemy, and they turn the enemy into something good. And again, these are Jews. And unfortunately, history repeats itself over and over and over again. We see this today. There are some rabbis, and again, look, why am I happy about Trump? I'm not happy about Trump because I think he's a great guy. I'm not happy about Trump because I think or I know that he was honest in business. I don't know anything about him. I don't. I'm happy about Trump because unlike the past administration, and unlike almost the new one, which didn't happen, of course, Trump does not see me as an illegal alien in Judea and Samaria. The ludicrous lies say that Jews do not believe in Judea and Samaria. This is unbelievable. That's like Paro seeing the miracles happen right in front of his eyes and say, I don't believe it. Has nothing to do with me. I'm going to keep pounding the nation of Israel. I'm going to keep making decrees on them. I'm going to double their work. So they don't there's stupidity about God, about spirituality. Because what happens is that Paro doesn't believe in God. He doesn't. He believes in some kind of rule of morality defined by himself. What I feel comfortable is good. What I don't feel comfortable with is bad. And don't be stupid to talk about a God. Get yourselves busy. Get yourself so busy in life, the habit of the ruckus of life. You don't have time to think about important things. Don't think about that God. And so Moshe Rabbeinu comes and says, no, we're thinking about God. Now, the funny thing is, after the rabbis complained about Moshe Rabbeinu, and said, what are you doing? You're causing them to hate us. You understand? Paro makes decrees and resolutions against the Jewish people. He murders Jewish boys. Comes Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron and fights for the freedom of the Jewish people. Fights for their freedom and says, we want independence. We want out of here. We want to go worship our God and eventually, of course, come to the land of Israel. And instead of the rabbis saying, you know what? We are looking way past the current political anything. We are looking at what God promised Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. We are looking at the promise of Pakodif Kodetchem, that God will take you out of here. They can't see that, the rabbis there who were there. They couldn't see it. So they actually blamed Paro. They blamed Moshe Rabbeinu for Paro's hatred. Instead of saying to Paro, we've had enough. You hate us. You're killing us. You're murdering us. You're making resolutions against us. You're making us illegal in our own lands. Again, and the funny thing is, but he gave us, they gave us food. That's exactly what the Jews said when they were in the desert. At least we got food in Egypt, right? So people say, hey, we got the Iron Dome. Yes, thank God America paid for the Iron Dome. By the way, I'd say, thank God for America altogether. America's been great to the Jews, and the American people are great people. The past administration does not represent the American people. We saw that clearly this elections. Okay? So I'm happy. I'm so happy. More than Trump and Clinton, I'm so happy. What's going on? I'm so happy that Trump won, not because of Trump against Clinton, because the American people showed that they have much, much more integrity and honesty and basically said no to this, I would call it moral relativism. Moral relativism. Again, I don't care what someone's personal opinions are. I'm not going to get involved with your personal opinions. But the second you want to make it state opinion, you want to make it acceptable in my country, that's a problem. In any case, at the end of the day, what happens is the Jewish leaders, not the people, the leaders say to Moshe, blame Moshe for this and say, what are you doing? You're making trouble for us in our land. You're making trouble for us. Now, you have to imagine the stress that Moshe Rabbeinu was under, right? On the one hand, he is the prince of Egypt. On the other hand, he's really a no one in Israel yet. So he has that dual citizenship going on. What do? You know who else had that? Yosef had it, Joseph. Prince of Egypt, but Jacob's son. How do you handle that? And we saw it, I discussed it last week, that Yosef knew exactly what leadership means. He knew who he was. He knew who he was, where he's coming from. And he knew the truth, and he wasn't scared to say the truth. And therefore, the last 2 weeks ago, when Yosef says, don't bury me here, he doesn't call it Mitzrayim, Egypt. He says, Bazeh, in this place, because I work here. This is my office. It's not who I am. I want to be buried in the land of Israel. Same thing in this parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu is being brought up in Paro's house, but he doesn't lose sight of who he is. He doesn't lose his identity. He is not he's not an American Jew. He's a Jew who lives in America. Big difference. And Jews can be, again, I say people all the time, Jews can be great and wonderful Jews living anywhere in the world. This is not talking badly about Jews living anywhere in the world. I say to people all the time, this has nothing to do with you being good or bad. The question is, would you rather watch the game on TV or you want to be at the stadium? I mean, come on. This is the stadium. We're living in the stadium, all right? I mean, we're looking out. Look at that. You're looking at the hills of Judea. You'd rather watch this on TV? Well, you're doing it right now. But definitely, get over to this country. Come for a visit at least. Start. Get the ball rolling. So let's talk a little bit what we have to do for our world. Okay? So first of all, America has a tremendous opportunity here. But more than America, Israel has a tremendous opportunity here. We have now someone in the White House. I don't care what his... Again, I do care, but it's not relevant right now to me. What his personal, relationship with his wife, I don't know, family, it's totally irrelevant to me. And if it was relevant, I'm not even going to the election jargon again. I don't want to talk about it. But the point is, he doesn't think I'm illegal. He doesn't think Jews are illegal in Judea. This is a turnaround. This is a miraculous turnaround. And again, unfortunately, we see some of the Jews in America are bashing him. Are bashing him for that. The Jews bashed Netanyahu when they wanted to talk about the nuclear danger of Iran. Instead of standing up for the Jewish minister of the state of Israel and against the administration, which is making a deal with a regime that has said out loud they want a nuclear holocaust in Israel, instead of the Jews standing up and standing behind Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of the Jewish state of Israel, they condemn him. They bash him. And you saw the people saying, oh, Obama's wonderful, and this, he's gone, he's bygone. Right? I had a great post the other day. Jerusalem, 3,000 plus years and still counting. Obama, 8 years, bye-bye. That's it. He's gone. Finished. But it just doesn't make sense. It's the same doesn't make sense as we had more than 3,000 years ago in Egypt. It's the same story. Moshe and Aaron come to take Bnei Israel out of slavery. They come and they say, we're going to make an independent nation, and we're going to bring an independent country, an independent land where you will rule the land. And it's Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash. It's land that's flowing with milk and honey. And by the way, milk is not milk from a cow. We're talking about fruit milk, like from fruits. Okay, but that's totally irrelevant right now. But the point is that he's brought promises of a future. Oh, but that upsets the nation. Jews came and said that upsets the administration. Don't do that. That upsets the administration because they don't have their eye on the ball. They lost focus. They thought the focus was making the current administration happy, and no, that's not what it's about at all. We have been around longer than the United States has been around. We have been around longer than the UK has been around. France, Germany, and every other country in the world. In fact, I said this a couple of weeks ago. All 70 nations that met in France, all 70 of those nations occupied and colonized land, took over the indigenous people. They are meeting in Paris to point a finger at us, the Jews, the indigenous people of the land of Israel. It's funny, people. It's funny. It's funny. And by the way, it's the same that Paro said, Hava nitchak malo, let's be wise with these Jews. That's what he said in Egypt. And he was actually scared we'd leave. So the Psukim say. They'll leave the country. We need them in the country. Right? They love us. They need them there. Let's kill them. Right? And this is what happens, not once and not twice throughout history. This is what happens often. And it's time that we learn our lessons. So, of course, we should care and we should try to work with the world. But the world does not take over our importance. Never does. And we should never lose focus on that. Okay? We should always know that our identity, our belief comes first. And not because we're more important. It's because who we are. My family comes first. That is not a racial thing. That is a serious thing. I hope your families come first. In any case, I'm very excited about the trip coming up to the States. I'm coming in February. I'll be in California. I'll be in the great state of Texas. I'll be in Florida. I will be in the tri-state area. I will be up to Canada, Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. I got a bunch of events set up. And of course, I am still looking for more people. If you want to host something in your area, definitely give me a private message, give me a call, and we'll try to set something in your area. As I always say, people, don't forget, no matter what we do, don't forget about the soldiers. They are the ones on the front lines. They are the ones putting their lives on the line to keep Israel safe. So let's show them the appreciation that they deserve. I'm going to put it down at the bottom right here. You got to check out, okay, it's www. One second. www.stogether. All right, check out. Ready? S together. My fingers are so full of sauce. .org. Okay, we have 3 major campaigns going on right now. Okay, it's right there. I'm sending it right now, and hit the link right there, and join me in saying thank you, showing appreciation to stand it to soldiers. All right, I'm signing off. Wishing everyone a very, very wonderful weekend. A Shabbat Shalom. Have a spiritual weekend. Spend time with your family. Shut off the phones. That's me talking. Shut off the phone. Shut off electricity. Spend some time with your family. Spend some time with your friends. And let's make this a spiritual weekend and a happy weekend. I am excited about the inauguration tomorrow. Unfortunately, I will not be able to watch it. It's Shabbat here, and that takes precedence over everything on TV and in the world. So I wanted to hear updates from everyone here, but wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom and have an awesome, awesome weekend. Shalom from Israel, the eternal birthplace and homeland of the Jewish nation. Please share the video, don't forget, and hit that link and help me say thank you to the IDF